isn't the audio working? Okay, it is. Perfect. Perfect. And that should do it. Okay. Well, what have we got on the table today? Some Firekeeper's leftovers. Things that have been sort of rotting in the pile of shame. Semi-finished. I had a conversion. I converted 3 of these aggressors to have underslung pyroclast style heavy flamers. I think it's just a way better look. And I only did 3 out of the 6. The other 3 were left in kind of a state of disrepair, so we're finishing those up today. And if there's time, maybe paint some Stormcast. Maybe paint some Stormcast in my Diablo 3 Crusader scheme. Asback, how's it going? How's it going? If you're asking what's good, can't really complain. Everything is pretty good, to be honest. Wrapping up some Firekeepers aggressors that have been just asking to have their paint jobs finished, but I've just never given them the time. They're pretty neat. How are things on your side? I'm just gonna null and oil some of these metallic bits on the flamers. You can't really go wrong with null and oil and metallics. I think there's a way I can zoom in with my camera. I think I have such technology. That might be better. Maybe getting some pretty bad shadows from the microphone, but can't help that. My audio is a bit low. Is that right? Should I perhaps increase the gain? That probably helps. I was mucking around with some microphone settings. Let me know if that makes a difference. I feel like it should be back to normal. Or at least close to. Okay, let's see if we can haphazard these guys. I'm not trying to get competition-worthy paint jobs here. They're pretty old, humble, decently painted models. You know, they're kind of cute. Look at this guy's little flame foot. He has the mark of fire on his foot because he bears a heavy flamer. I'm honestly not going to do too much beyond that for the metallics. I'm going to keep them super, super chill. The weapon casings will get that dark blue Stegon scale fade that I usually give all my Firekeeper's weapons, and I do some blue lights, which I put on the Firekeeper's weapons, just for a bit of visual interest. I think this guy has one here. Where is he? Right. Just a little blue light on your weapon makes a big difference. I think it's those kind of details that really just make models much more interesting to look at. And then I think the last detail I'll add to these weapons is probably a little bit of a red highlight on that rear cable. The one that hooks into the, where are we? The one here that hooks into the backpack. But barring this paint job here, I'm looking for input and inquiry on faction campaign systems for 40K. And it doesn't have to be too fancy. Even not full-blown systems, just narrative things you ought to be able to do. Even that is something I'm looking for, particularly for Imperial Guard. I find the Imperial Guard are, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because I do like the Imperial Guard, but I find they're so basic that there's not a whole lot going on with them that's too fantastical. For example, you know, a Space Marine dies, he can go into a Dreadnought. But what happened? What can you do similarly for the Imperial Guard? It's not immediately obvious to me. You can't really have anything fancy on death. And most other factions can, because they're also extraordinary. You got your Wraith Lords, your Death Dreads, your Tyranid and Votan respawning. We'll have to fix up that fist. That's okay. So I'll do the weapons, I'll touch up the power fist and the armor color in a few places. You know, in more recent times, I've gone the extra mile and painted the glowing tips on the ends of flamers, like the pilot lights that you'd normally see. And that also adds another pretty nifty layer of interest, but I don't know if I have it in me to do on these guys. Then you add to that and you have this sort of additional task, because I would have to do it all 6 instead of just the 3. Yeah, let's just go real heavy with the Nuln Oil. Doesn't really matter. We can make it all grimy. Star Captain, how's it going? Welcome to the Hobby Hang. Star Captain says Guard could have Augmetics if they go down, but I don't know what else. Exactly, right? Exactly. I don't know what else. I think Augmetics would be the way to go. The thing that makes that less special to me is I would posit Adeptus Mechanicus would have a full... If an Atomic commander gets destroyed, I want to have an inbuilt tool to rebuild your guy better, stronger, right? This kind of meme. This kind of idea, but... I don't know if Guard can have on-death effects in the same way. It's, maybe there's a narrative argument to be made that that's appropriate for them, because they are just that much... They're just that ordinary. Oh, it's going well for you. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, things are pretty chill for me. Got a bit of a shoulder thing going on, but I think I slept on it fine. But barring that, everything's pretty chill. Okay, so that is our second guy who's been nullified, or null-oilified. Oh, okay, that's 3 of 3. It's kind of drying. Okay, so we can get into the layering of the weapon. I think it's okay to work on that while everything dries. Should be fine. Star Captain says, no, I don't think so, unfortunately. They will just get replaced by the next in line. You see, this is my thought, right? This is kind of what I've concluded as well. But I would still like them to have a fun, narratively satisfying campaign system. Like, for example, if we look at orcs, I really like the idea that if you're playing orcs and you play against the Space Marines player and you destroy a whole bunch of vehicles of the Space Marines, I like the idea that after the battle you would have some system in place. Maybe it's rolling based on each vehicle destroyed, something like this. But I like the idea of being able to loot the scrap and reconstruct a looted version of those vehicles, right? Just to bring back more of those older edition rules that would encourage cool hobby efforts. Now, not every faction has something as juicy, because the orcs is just like peak in that regard. But there has to be something for the Guard in that space, maybe? I don't know. It's, I'm trying to avoid the pitfalls of Crusade. That's just like endless upgrades where things get out of control. Because I've tried it. I'm in the middle of it also. Like, I've tried on past campaigns, and I'm in the middle of it in an ongoing campaign, and it always kind of leads to the same end result. Things get too crazy. Gingerbread Man, welcome to the stream. We're talking campaign systems. I guess ideas about campaign systems. There is a conundrum for the Imperial Guard. Also, it was brought to my attention that the Red... This is total tangent, but it was brought to my attention that the Red Corsairs miniatures are larger in scale than Chaos Space Marines. Than your veterans of the Long War, your first founding legions. And it's honestly proving my point more and more as time goes on. And I'm going to do a video on it probably next week. Just like hopefully it's not too scathing, but thoughts on video, just on what has become of the Chaos Space Marines. Been made too small from the get-go, and now they look awkward. Ever more so as time goes on. Let's see here. Star Captain says perhaps for the guard they could get promoted or demoted by rank for if they live or win the battle versus lose or die. That's something to consider. That might have to be the only route to go. There's no obvious like design space that's jumping out at me for Imperial Guard. But granted, I'm not like an Imperial Guard guy, so I'm posing the question to the audience that I have. Gingerbread Man says, with the 40k. So I've been struggling with picking a chapter for my Space Marines. So I want to homebrew one for myself, but I've made so many homebrew chapters. But I've made so many homebrew chapters and also can't seem to be satisfied. How did you make your own custom chapter? My custom chapter is a little inauthentic. The Firekeepers. Let me put this guy on screen. He's a better representation of the chapter. My homebrew chapter, the Firekeepers, is not the best route I would go towards making it. Because I started just playing normal salamanders. And I realized, after I painted a large portion of them, that I wanted something for me, right? I wanted to have my dudes on the table. I want to separate myself from GW's heroes and have my own characters and that kind of thing, right? It just didn't feel great that I'm leaning into Adrax Agatone because he's brand new at the time, right? And then it's like, and then it also didn't feel right that, it just made the universe feel too small. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted a homebrew chapter. That doesn't really answer your question. But because I started with base salamanders, I didn't want to redo everything. So I did a spin-off on salamanders where, okay, we're a successor and we're going to change the color scheme. I'll make the arms black and change some things with the Codex Astartes heraldry. And then I'll use that to add some distinction. That's how I went about it. There's an argument to be made for having your successor chapter have their colors codify to the parent chapter, and also for them to look drastically different. So it's really just a matter of preference. It's really just a matter of preference. That's sort of what I did for these guys. For the Space Stallions, which is like, I guess, technically my second successor chapter, if I don't think I'm going to do a very big collection of them. That was a similar approach, honestly. I wanted to codify them as white scarves, but I didn't want to do white and red, so I chose white and orange, and I came up with a color scheme inspired by some external media and rolled with it. Pun not intended. Star Captain says, the thing is, I love the guard. I have loads, and I'm still struggling to think of a mechanic when I play narratively, where my group usually plays 5th or 7th. Okay, so it's not just me then. If even a guardsman's man is having a similar issue. Yeah, it's not the easiest. I was thinking maybe you have some bonus based on if you win versus losing lots of men. Like it's a more like, for the Emperor kind of cult of sacrifice, like leaning into that Krieg kind of idea. I think Krieg are a great archetype for the guard, personally. But even that, I want to keep whatever these narrative mechanics are outside of wombo combo game mechanics, like how Crusade kind of gets crazy in that regard. Alright, so maybe if you win a battle but lose a lot of men, and the bulwark of it, the Imperium, right, has paid its toll, right, for another Pyrrhic victory. Maybe there's something there. Then you get a bonus. I just don't like the idea of a bonus. You get a bonus. Like what does that even mean in narrative sense? Like the ability to put your captain in a dreadnought if you sustain a death result on an injury table feels kind of exciting. Like, it's a bad outcome, obviously, because your guy essentially almost died, and you can't really use the model as it was, but a neat thing happens, and then your narrative, that characters leading your force, is transformed in a very satisfying way, I think. But man, the guard are just, they're so plain. I don't know. I don't know what to do with them. It's tough. Star Captain says, I usually just don't use him for a bit, and usually use either another commander in my collection or find a cool sergeant that did something heroic in the past game. He gets promoted to his rank until he recovers from the medic. Yeah, maybe there's something. Maybe that's something. I kind of like the idea. I kind of like the idea that they just get replaced, though. Like that commander is dead. And the next one steps into his shoes, right? It's grim in a different sort of way than the Space Marine captain serving forever in a dreadnought. Okay, well, look, these are definitely ready to get some paint. I've been chatting for a bit. So, I got some black on the palette already. I use a Stegodon scale, a blend of Stegodon scale and black for my weapon casings. Like a dark teal. I don't know if I'll do the edge highlighting on them, if I am honest. Took me a minute to find that Stegodon scale green. For a second, I thought I ran all out. Thought I ran all out. Star Captain says, "You see, I'm a Cadian fan, but I like the idea where for a Cadian, at least you don't want waste Cadians, which cannot be replaced properly." That, yeah, from a guardsman perspective, that does make sense, because they are better trained than your average. Well, I guess so. Are they? Like, are Arcadians better than other guard regiments? The honest question, right? Because I know anyone from the Prodigium, what is it called? The Scions. Any of the Scion guys. Those guys are all veterans, effectively, right? They're all primo, tip-top trained dudes. But the average is an average Cadian a better skilled military man than another guardsman? Cadia's gone, you cannot replace them. Yeah, that's that's a problem. That's a problem. It's too hard to account for. It's part of the problem why I don't like custodians in the setting being active. You have a problem. You can't replace their numbers so easily. Yeah. Look, if GW is still big into flexing Acadia, I'm sure they have some means to replace them. They must have some backup planet or some offshoot system where, Cadia 2, Electric Boogaloo, that kind of thing. I'm just adding a bit of Stegadon Scale Blue to this weapon casing. It's definitely a very subtle effect, but I think it just helps a little bit make that weapon casing stand out a bit from the black arms. It doesn't need to be perfect coverage either. I kind of like the variation that comes from just placing it on the upper levels or where the light would catch. Like, surely Cadia has some colonies, right, where they can continue trading and raising their signature guardsmen. You know, what's the meme? Cadia is not a place, it's a people. I just, for all the hype of destroying Cadia, it's like it never happened. Well, I'm pretty sure in that Warhammer Community article about the Iron Warriors campaign that's coming out, it's like they're still attacking Cadia, right? Isn't that a thing? I hope I'm not misremembering. Store Captain says, well, they made a new Cadia, yes, but I'm not a fan of that. Ah, good. Mark of culture. I approve. I agree. Zim will find you. Welcome to the stream. Is that a Salamander successor chapter? Yes, it is a Salamander's successor chapter. It is my Salamander's successor chapter. The one my avatar is based off of. My channel avatar. I think I have him here in OBS. In a BRB. This guy. These ones are definitely old aggressors. They're not the prettiest. Not the prettiest in the group. I want to pump up that blue. Starlit Misfit, welcome to the stream. Evening to you as well. Star Captain says exactly, that's the problem. Like nothing happened. Funny how it is, right? I'm pretty sure I feel like I started the phrase on one of our Grimdark Therapy podcasts. This idea like everything is happening but nothing happens. There's a bit of that. There's a bit of that in 40k. Just a smidge. But you know, at a distance, see the leader of the squad I painted, of the newer squad, he just reads, he reads pretty good at that distance. The old ones, not so much. It's probably because they don't have helmets. Kind of regret that choice. I thought it would be neat to keep half the squad without helmets as a way to make them distinct if I wanted to split them up. But now I kind of regret it. Alright, let's get some more Stegadon blue. It's actually called Stegadon green, but it's certainly more blue than it is green. Star Captain says, also, I like the kit bash, by the way. Ah, much appreciated. You know, it's like the Pyroclasts from 30K, which is why I thought it was a cool idea. Where you have that, you know, one big flamer. Now, it doesn't make sense with the rules at all, because everything's twin-linked, but I definitely think it looks cooler. Something about the symmetry of the aggressors. I don't particularly like it. It could just be a preference thing. I don't. Some people might think it looks super cool. Let's see. Zim will find you says any good non-Imperium book recommendations. That's a toughie. That's a toughie. My most recent Black Library reading has been all Imperium side. And to be honest, it's been a while anyways. I was like, I was shoveling my way through the Dawn of Fire series. Sorry about it, a morbid curiosity, but there's some nuggets in there. I don't think it's all bad. Okay, I think if you're into the weird side of 40K, I would recommend Peter Fehavari's books across the board, and some of them are a little bit Imperium side of the aisle. I think Sisters of Battle was the one I read, but it's like barely about the Imperium. It's very much about the madness of chaos in the 40K universe. I think it's, I don't know, like it feels like closer on the spectrum towards literature, if I could even say something so bold. That's what I would that's how I would describe it. Sneedfest, welcome to the stream, just tuned in. Seeing these makes me wish GW had done a Devastator remake using Gravis. It'd be sick having a unit of Gravis with heavy bolters, those Desolation missile launchers, and the heavy flamers. I agree. I think, like, broadly speaking, benefit of hindsight here, it seems like GW didn't really have a clear direction in what they wanted Mark 10 Primaris to really be. It feels like it's anything and everything, which makes it hard to kind of like put into a classification of units for wargaming, right? It's just the standard paradigm of like pre-Primaris of tactical assault and devastator was like the perfect chocolate box of how to categorize your Space Marine units, infantry wise anyways, and then you'd have your veterans for unique purposes, for specialist purposes. Yeah, I think in the spirit of embiggening your heavy weapon wielders, like we have with the Noise Marines recently, and Havocs on the Chaos Space Marine side, I think Gravis could have just been the Devastator squad, and you, in a perfect world, you would just get the options and equip them how you'd want, right? But in GW's world, maybe they release Gravis Devastators with heavy bolters, and in the next year, Gravis bolters with Melta, etc., right? I think, while that's less preferable, it's still better than where we find ourselves. And now you have heavy intercessors, and like I like my heavy intercessors, and like I think I did a cool conversion on them and everything. And they look pretty spicy, but what are they even for? Like, where do they even sit? It's such an awkward unit. Like it feels like it does not fit nicely in the Codex Astartes, so to speak. In the unit selection for Space Marines. They're just sort of there. Like, do you like your Marines even bigger? Then these ones are for you. That's kind of how they feel to me. And look, some chapters like that, right? Like, it's very thematic for, I think, Iron Warriors to lean into that. Not Iron Warriors, sorry, Iron Hands. Even Salamanders, you make a good argument. They want to be tough and durable and that kind of thing. They want to weather the fires of battle, right? But for the vast majority, it kind of feels like a product more than a thing that exists in the world, in my opinion. Sneedfest says the mono weapon squads feel quite gimmicky in that sense. I think you made a video talking about how Primaris Marines are more Heresy Marine than actual Chaos Forces. Laugh my ass off. Yes, I did do that video. I think that's a fair point. It's a bit awkward. It's like you have a you have a wider selection of an arsenal. It feels very awkward. I have the next critical video I do will be on scale, right? And here's the actually I can probably show it because I have it all on my desk. I think GW scale on Chaos Space Marines is quite terrible, honestly. Right, so here I need to get an unpainted legionary, right? But this is your standards, right? You have your standard human, right, and your guardsman right here, small, cool little guy, right, with his laskin. You have a Sister of Battle here, and like she's a normal human too, but you wouldn't really know if you looked at her because she's massive. But you know, power fantasy, you can hand wave it away a little bit, right? Rule of cool. So she's extra big, right? And she's like wide-legged here too, right? So she's like super tall. And then you have your Primaris Marine, and he's like, whoa, this guy's a big friggin' deal, okay? You don't want to mess with this guy. He's huge. Like even comparing to the guardsman, just like massive. And the problem is, and again, I don't have a Chaos Space Marine, like a GW Chaos Space Marine just lying around, so I can't really demo it properly, but the problem is the Chaos Space Marine beside a Guardsman is less intimidating than the Loyalist Space Marine beside a Guardsman. And it's so narratively dissonant to me. Like, I can't square the circle. Like, it seems so obtuse. Like, what a stupid choice, right? So in the interim, I've been... well, not I've been, but I've had a couple of 3D printed Legionaries done at a slightly larger scale. And like, bro, look at this guy. This guy's a menace, right? This is the legionary. This is the veteran of the Long War that I want. You know, like he makes my whole Word Bearer's army feel like shit. Because he looks so good. Just the oomph, right? The presence. And then look at the size of him beside the Guardsman. Oh my god. Like, you can really imagine the fear that a Guardsman would feel, right? From the prospect of encountering a traitor Astartes. Like, it's terrifying. You simply don't have... Like, that's the importance of scale to me. This is like... I'm workshopping the video in dry run right here, but that's kind of the idea. It's... God, look at him. It's so much better. So much better. Yeah. I feel like I'm being proven right that Chaos Space Marines were too small from the beginning. And now with Renegade Reavers, or whatever they're called, Renegade Raiders, Red Corsairs Raiders, it's even, like, more apparent. Because I think even they are bigger than Legionaries. I believe so. I need to bug someone in my local place group for an unpainted one. For video purposes. Let me catch up with chat here. Asback says, I don't mind mono squad loadouts. I just don't like how all the weapons have different annoying profiles, like in Deathwatch kill teams. Oh, right. Yeah, how many heavy bolters are there in Chaos Space Marines? Or, sorry, in Codex Space Marines? It's like 5 or 4? It's absurd. You can't simply ask, is that guy equipped with a heavy bolter? You have to ask, what is the profile of that individual's heavy bolter? It's never a good place for your game system. I don't think so. A Misfit says, hi, Gingerbread Man. Let's see. Sneedfest says, it puts Primaris back in the place of needed upgrade to compete with juiced up 10,000-year-old Astartes madmen. Yes! That's what it always should have been. It was such a mistake, and I'm probably gonna make that like the crux, like the thesis of that next video. Like, it was such a mistake to make the Legionaries small. I always make fun. I mean, I don't always. Often in my videos, I make fun of how small they are. Because it's such a sort of backwards choice. It comes across like little boys playing with their toys, right? It's like, oh no, my guy's, I like the good guy, so he's better. And it's like, no, you need your villains to be big and imposing. Zimmelfondu says, any advice on finding a local playgroup? Guess you'd have to go around and check all your trading card game stores. It's like my local game store is actually like it's not dedicated to 40K or tabletop gaming. It's primarily a TCG place, but they do Warhammer as well. And they have a day that's usually more focused on tabletop gaming, and then that's the day everyone shows up. But it can be tricky. I did a tour to find a play group or a local game store that I felt had a good vibe, because I was kind of off-put by most, if I'm honest. I don't mean to sound snooty about it. It's just didn't feel good. Matt Mullen, welcome to the stream. How's it going? We're hobbying, we're hanging. Hope everyone else is hobbying. Am I alone out here? Am I the only one licking their paintbrush? Surely it cannot be so. One sec, guys. One sec. This was supposed to be like a member stream. And Warp Forge was going to join me for a hobby hang, but it got a bit tied up, so I just started going solo. I was taking care of some messages. As Max says, I'm not painting, I'm fixing up my scale screw. My scale screw up for my Dreadnought. Oh. That sounds unfortunate. Are you printing a Dreadnought? That would be illegal. I have never 3D printed a Dreadnought. I kid. This is a 3D printing friendly channel. Okay, so I just got a DM. Seems like Warp Forge. Seems like Warp Forge is the Warp Forge is ready to come on. So I'll set that up in a moment once I finish applying the stick it on scale. Gingerbread Man says I'm painting my Thousand Suns Exalted Sorcerer on disc right now. Right on. Look, I appreciate that. Zimel Find You says I'm currently doing the little details on my Night Haunt. Very cool. If I'm optimistic, or hopefully I wasn't being too optimistic, I would have liked to have painted my Stormcast. I brought 5. Let me reach. Ow, my shoulder. Alright, here. Yeah, so these are some unpainted. Well, this guy's painted. At least He-Man. Look at this guy. He's sick. This guy's so cool. Yeah, so he's kind of painted. The others are less so, but yeah. If there's time, I'll put maybe some white robes on these guys. Warp Forge, welcome to the stream. I'm about to jump into the hobby call with you in a moment. In a moment. Let's see. Let's see how it works. Okay. Hello.
Yo! Sorry about that. I've been on my feet all day.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm happy to do solo streaming. I haven't done that in a while. It's all good. I'm just gonna do some UI stuff on the OBS.
Nice. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll just quickly get myself sorted. I've just been on my feet. So, in the morning, I had a local wargaming convention that I went to, and then after that, I went straight into a game of 40k with my friend, who's just left now.
I got you.
It was nice. Yeah.
Got to roll some dice with your Night Lords, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, first time using Nightmare Hunt in person, but I was not going into any optimization. We asked for a casual game. They brought AdMech for the first time, and it was the Halo Spree detachment that brought this one. We played it out. They won by a healthy 11 points. I got 50, they got 66.
Dude, 11-point game is good. That's a good game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got tabled on the very last turn, and the last guy to be taken out was Freddy Krueger. It was you get into grips with certain mechanics. Like, I was using what I call Freddy Krueger, so I made Freddy Krueger into a Night Lord by using Argyle Towel and then a 3D printed head, and then just painted them up as Night Lords. But I put him with the enhancement that allows him to join Warp Talon units and gives him Scout 6 inches. So he basically does a power lines for a turn 1 charge. So he went straight into some Skitarii, killed it, and then started doing uppy downy shenanigans because of the Warp Talon ability, and that was really nice because I was doing that. Like, I took out all his Skitarii and all his scoring units. It really came down to the last few cards to pull out that win. But I was just rocking out with just models that I painted and models that I just wanted to enjoy using. I finally managed to use 3 squads of Nemesis Claw. I was a little bit hesitant at first because I thought, well, they're not really going to do much against a lot of the Skitarii walkers that run rings and such. The Ballistari's and such, and the Lancers. But one point that I did manage to do, and I'm so happy that I did it, was managed to get a unit of 3 Dragoons to 1, battle shocked it, they wanted to run away, so they had to roll for desperate escape, rolled a 2, re-rolled it because of their own rules, rolled a 2 again, killed it. I was just like, yeah, that's what we're on about.
That's lucky. Good for you. That's like narrative rules can be very frustrating. Like, sorry, leadership-based rules can be very frustrating at times. So I'm happy to hear that it actually came together because very often, I mean, you've been there where you're, I need you to fail this leadership role. My rules are predicated on it. And they, well, you know, insane bravery. I'll just do that instead. I'm like, okay, cool, good talk.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, it was definitely a fun game. I was just rocking out. Like, I was very surprised how much I could punch up with Nemesis Claws. In fact, I was managed to get like this Ballistari, which I like took the 7/7 wounds, slowly whittling them down one by one. It was definitely like I was fighting the war of attrition with minimum units, and I was winning. And like I say, like managing to battle shock things as well for raptors and such, to flip objectives was also pretty neat. Getting that +1 to wound as well, like one from 3s to 2s on chainswords. Oh,
huge.
Feels good. Just feels good.
Yeah, it's significant. I think Nightmare. The new one's called Nightmare Hunt.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think when that detachment came out, I felt like it had like pretty good legs. So just looking at it from the Tyranids perspective, I'm like, okay, here's a battle shock detachment that feels like it's giving you a bit more, like more ways to do battle shock, and you get a bigger reward from that battle shock. But again, you have to do the work to set up those payoffs, as opposed to other detachments that would just pay off.
Absolutely.
That just pay off for free, right?
Yeah, they just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's one of the things where it's like, I wish those more, or like at least the more powerful builds were like that, where it was under conditions. Because I feel like if people work towards a condition, it's more rewarding when it pays off.
Oh, 100%.
My Nightmare. Yeah. Like, I'm enjoying my Nightmare Hunt. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be winning GTs or RTTs anytime soon, but damn, am I happy. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun, like, and I look forward to, like, really playing around with it.
Like, despite my fairly frequent grievances with Warhammer 40k, it is a supremely rewarding hobby when everything comes together, right? Hobbying side to side, but like when the rules are satisfying, it feels super good, right? Like you just, it's chef's kiss. Like you feel like, oh, this hobby is so good.
Yeah. No, so absolutely.
I sense that's what you're feeling at the moment, right?
Yeah, like I lost the game, but like I'm not like poking my face or anything about it. Cause like my base thing is, did I get to do what my army set out to do, which was do battle shock, scare my opponents and such? Yes. Just that it was my forcing the escaped test and just getting that last walker down. It's just like it was one of those gotcha moves at the time, but it was really funny. I was just like being able to do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna shoot your ankles. There we go, chainsword. I look forward to actually properly getting like. So I was only using minimum units of 5 raptors, but I was I haven't got all the models yet to make like the big bricks of 10 like 5 essentially power fists. But I do look forward to when I do. So I've got the combat. I'm waiting for the Comberserkers to come through the Combat Patrol magazine that I've subscribed to, and I'll just kit bash more of them because all my raptors are made from Comberserkers with like 3D printed bits for like giant jump packs and such, so it looks like a murderer's from that, Mach 9 speed, so like a giant rocket.
That sounds like a good conversion project you got there for yourself.
Yeah, it was rewarding to get it all sorted, and you see, like my whole army was painted. It was nice. Just have painted army as well. They're like, I think you know where I'm coming from. It's like when you've got a painted army and you spent all that time and effort to get it done. Doesn't matter what happens, you've got a painted army and it feels good to see on the board playing.
Oh, 100%. I guess you could say I have a high standard for that kind of stuff. Some people
Oh yeah,
Some people scoff in the local play group where it's like, come on. And look, I'm never like, you can't play, obviously, but
yeah,
I think it's important to have a culture in your local play group, or it's my opinion,
yeah,
right? But I think it's important that
yeah,
there's at least progress being made towards that kind of standard,
yeah,
you know? It doesn't mean you
yeah.
can't play if you're not fully painted, but
Oh yeah,
that should be the goal. And I feel like it's important for everyone to see everyone's putting in their effort, right? Because that's part of the gentleman's
yeah,
agreement, I think, of what Warhammer 40k
yeah,
is. You got to every. I kind of frame it like you paint your army for your opponent in a way, and I think that's a good way to think about it because you want their experience to be good
yeah,
because you're both gonna spend if you're like if you're really beer and pretzeling it, it'll be a few hours, right? So you want to kind of give them a good time and paint your models. I think that's important.
yeah. No, absolutely, I agree. Like for me, it's like it's always I always make my rules self-imposed. Like there's a reason like where I play the occasional game now. I don't like since I would say halfway through ninth, I stopped really playing so frequently, and that's because I just wanted to
Similar for me.
get my army. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to get my army sorted to a. I want to get my Night Lords sorted to a point where it's like anything I take, I can just it's there and it's painted. Um, I find like it's rewarding in its own right when you've got a fully painted army, like, and you don't really know the feeling until you've actually done it. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, yeah, it's a good vibe.
Yeah, like I understand like reality hits home and like sometimes like life gets in the way. So it's like that's why I've always said it's self-imposed and I don't really impose it on other people. Um, I'm just more of a case of like if they don't have a painted army, at least I can look myself in the eye, look at myself in the mirror, and just go, at least like I got my army painted. You know what I mean? Right. So I am finishing the Jaeger today.
Right on. I'm just backlogging some aggressors. Maybe we'll paint Stormcast if we have time.
Nice.
Let's see here. Macrovac, that's a great name, says, what about playing on Tabletop Simulator then, where you don't have to paint? Oh, then it's a non-issue. If you're playing on Tabletop Simulator, everything's painted.
Yeah.
It's a non-issue. I just
Yeah.
I just think if you're going through the effort of doing a cool living diorama experience, like how I would like my narrative 40k games to be, I think it's important. I think it's paramount that you paint your models, and it doesn't have to be nice. Like I'm talking GW's battle ready. That's what I'm talking about. 3 colors and basing. That's like the doing right by your opponent. Everything else is bonus beyond that for me, right? If someone does some wicked free hands or awesome highlights, Zenithal, take your pick. Big kudos from me, 100%. But it's not necessary. Like, it's just about showing up with a list where you're like, 3 colors, everything's painted. There's no gray plastic. There's no only primer, and it's based. And it's just like a texture paste. That's like the minimum, right? GW's battle ready, I think, is a very fair, basic standard.
Indeed. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm about to paint some tiny blue lights on my weapons because I think it makes them look cool. Do you have a white paint that you prefer? A particular brand of white paint that isn't White Star?
Yes, a little bit. I like Pro Krill's white paint. I also like the off-whites from Vallejo Model Colors range.
Yes,
like the,
okay. I like that one too.
Wolf Greys and stuff. Yeah, the off-whites. I don't mind Duncan Road's Too Thin Coat white paint. I find that's okay. But I find like the Pro Krill stuff is that really seals the deal for me.
For the Duncan Rhodes white paint, can you buy that online, or is it like
Yeah, I'm sure you can buy it
a
online.
UK thing?
Yeah, I'm sure you can buy it online. I've got plenty of it. Like, there's one, like for my Night Lords trims, I swear by because it's basically close enough to the 1-to-1 of Balthasar Gold for Games Workshop, and that is Dwarf Iron, was it? Not Curious Leather. Curious Leather's sorry, Curious Leather's really great. Here it is, Steampunk Copper. Because I've tried so many coppers from so many other places, but they're just wildly different to the point where it's like they're very warm, but the steampunk copper is quite a cold copper, which helps when I put a blue wash over it to cool it down further. Because I like my trims painted, but I don't want them competing with the blue armor of my Night Lords. So that gives them that like worn look, which as they should, because you don't get the stuff from the administratum anymore.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It definitely is the salvaged kind of haggard look of Chaos Space Marines really lend themselves to the Night Lords themes, I think.
Indeed.
Yeah. I wonder if I should be painting these pilot lights on the end. Do you paint the pilot lights on the end of flamers, or you just leave it all bronze or metal?
I used to paint them up at the end, but I think for me it was a case of I have so much volume of models to get through. I just end up just painting them bronze and then just washing them over in blue to cool them down to make them look a little bit worn.
Yeah. Gingerbread Man says, I rarely get to play, so painting is my main part of the hobby. I try to make sure every mini I paint is always as good as I can make that mini. Shout out to Gingerbread Man. That's a based standard.
Yeah.
And I think
Indeed.
I think it's very important to enjoy the hobby in the capacity that is most appealing to you. Whether it's a limitation of finding games, or if some people just like to read the lore, or only like to play, or only like to paint. Like, I think you have to lean into what you get out of it, right? Like, I'll talk to some people that are like some of the more meta chasing people in my local game store, and they'll lament like how much they have to build and how much they hate building, right? But because they need to get these different units to do this new thing they're thinking of, and there's this labor component in their hobby, and it's like it does. Yeah, I think if you're not enjoying it, like, you shouldn't be doing it. But
yeah,
that's a tax for choosing that path, I think. But
yeah,
if you enjoy chasing the meta, even, I think you should lean into that. And I know guys who like very much enjoy pivoting and like, oh, the balanced data slate changed everything. What am I going to do? And then they have to like re-strategize, and they complain, but I think like deep down, I think they really like it. It's like that's kind of what you're about, though. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah, absolutely. It's like for me, it's like I don't mind painting, but sometimes I can't find it, especially with Chaos Trim. It can be a bit daunting for me, but I absolutely love kit bashing. Like this second version of the Jaeger that I'm doing out here from Shan. I love making completely unique models and then essentially wowing people at like events and such.
I feel very similar to you in that regard.
Yeah.
Conversions are super fun.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you've made something that's very unique. It's completely yours, right? It's very satisfying.
Absolutely. Like most of my stuff is kit bash. It's not often I just leave a model as it is. Like, I think in my whole collection, the models I've left untouched from major kit bashing is the Venom Crawlers and the Lord Discordant. Oh, sorry, Lord Discordants. That's it.
Those two are those are fair. Those are fair units to leave as is. Not that you have, not that you couldn't convert them, but they're kind of they got a lot going on already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I dread to paint them. At least the Lord Discordants are. Oh, they're gonna be fun.
Oh, you haven't painted yours yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's
Those,
like a it might as well be like a centerpiece model, right? There's a lot
Yeah.
going on detail wise with that guy, and like it's nice. It's a very nice model, but man,
Oh yeah.
it's a project. It's a project for sure. One does not simply paint a Lord Discordant.
No, absolutely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 6. There's the 6 more. So yes. Today when I was at that Wargaming show, I got some more. I got some Pete's Dead Animal bits because I'm at the final stages of completing the Jaeger now. And all I need to do, what I want to do, is on his legs where I've taken off all the iconography. I want to put some bones around on his legs to show like more trophies basically and all that. Just that grim visage that Night Lords are all about. So
Some
basically just
corpses,
doing that.
basically.
Oh yeah, like I've got a lollipop worth of corpses that are printed out, and they're just literally like super glue lollipop together. Because where on his face where he's got like that massive like not hole, but it's like he's standing on top of something, but it's quite empty on the other side. So I thought, well, why can't he super mutants with the body bags and such? Why doesn't he have his own hoarded body bags or something like that, like embedded on the other side to give it some more busyness?
Yeah, help balance out the composition. I get you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get that.
So it's just like, yeah. And it's also like for the legs at least, when I put these bones on, it hides the sanding and the filing away as well, so it allows them to actually not show off any like, how do you say, not undeserved, but more, it allows them to hide certain like mistakes on the model. The idea is I'm just going to glue these on, and then once I've glued these on, I am going to get a little bit of green stuff, just a little green stuff sausage, and start weaving it around the bones so it looks like it's tied to the leg.
Just like with ropes. That's the idea. Or like
Yeah,
wires,
just a little bit of, yeah, exactly, just a little bit of rope, basically. Okay.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I say, like he's almost done. I did steal an idea. There's a YouTuber out there, a painter called Darcy Bono. She's done a similar kit bash to basically Night Lords of Fire, Aether and Shan, but she got like a little bat from the Bat Swarms from Cursed City, and then stuck her on the chest piece, and I was like, that really works. That really works. I'm stealing that idea.
It sounds familiar. I feel like I might follow her on Instagram.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Indeed. Right, okay, I need to get my tools out here, because this is going to be a pain in the backside. Right, okay, you're not going to do the wet cement, so you're not going to stick, so you are... I did bring there's the glue, it's all back the room. There we go. Bugger it.
Funny. I'm amused by the interaction in chat. We have Starlit Misfit saying, my Genestealer cults are heavily kit bashed, which is very cool, by the way. And Gingerbread Man says, at At Starlit Misfit, Thousand Suns, Tau, and Gene Stealer Cults, you, my friend, are a man/woman of culture. Do you like Iron Hands too? Like, that I find very... As an Iron Hands fan, I guess you could say, I think I do feel like... I do feel like, low-key, Iron Hands aren't overtly cool, but I think they are a very classy choice of Space Marine. It's like a low, like it's not loud, but if someone plays Iron Hands, I do wonder if, oh, this is a cool guy, you know, because to me the Iron Hands are probably the, if I could have like my way about things, they would be the best archetype of a 40k Space Marine, right? In the grimdark sense of the setting, right?
Yeah.
Like a loyalist chapter from the first founding that suffered a great tragedy in the Horus Heresy and has never been the same since, right? And I just think that's so quintessentially grimdark, and they really exemplify the whole cold transhuman pragmatism that I would expect from the very concept of Space Marines across the board, right? I know there's variants here and there, but I think they exemplify that cold transhuman logic in a particularly strong way.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I find that they are quite, in terms of lore or representation, they are quite underdog. Because like if you like, I don't know if you've read the Clan Roken supplement. I've read a bit of it here and there, but it gives you so much depth of like what they're like, their cultures and such, and how like they're not unified in the traditional sense, but they are, because they're all different sort of clans from a form of like, I don't want to say Greek mythology, but they do a lot of similarities with that, with the fact that the Primarch was labeled the Gorgon.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I kind of wish they played a little bit more into that, but then again, that would be important on the Minotaurs, I guess. So
yeah, no, I can appreciate what you're saying there. I just think it's, you know, it's kind of a blessing. It's kind of a blessing actually that they're not like front and center, because, like, if we're being honest, not all lore is 10 out of 10. Not all novels in Black Library are 10 out of 10. Most are kind of like mid, and then there's like outliers here and there that kind of carry the average, right? But because of that, it's kind of good not to be front and center, right? Like, it does suck. You get less characters, you get less love in rules too sometimes. Usually Iron Hands don't feel that too badly though. Generally speaking, their rules are pretty strong each edition, but despite the fact they're not like a poster boy kind of legion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, sorry. Apologies. Like, I find like Iron Hands have a lot of potential, and I think honestly, like, they do get slept on a little bit, because like you can have such a lot of unique individuality for them because of how their culture operates, like on Medusa and its system.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I've considered making an Iron Hands chapter just because I thought they were so cool. You know, it's like, man, those guys are neat.
Yeah, no, I get, absolutely. Like, I've once considered a few times to do a Crimson Fist and a Carcharodon's army, because for similar reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my heart will always be with the Black Templars, but if I was to go and do a Badab War faction and resettle with the Carcharodons, I've already got like an STL for Tiberios, so I was like, right, print them out because it's awesome. Alright, okay, so there it is. Can I just... Nope. Where did I put those tweezers? Okay, that's fine. Right. Yep. Yeah, I'm just doing a fiddly bit right now. Just there we go. We've got a head in there. There we go. Yeah, that'll suit. That'll do. Now just gotta let those bones dry, and then we have a couple of green stuff, and then he's done. Yeah, so I wasn't able to do both legs, but that's okay, because, you know, a little bit of lightning, I guess. A little bit of paint and light should be fine. A little bit of that funky freehand, and yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, sounds like you're making good progress on your end.
Yeah. Like, I'm at the point now, it's like, he's basically one little bit of green stuff. Once that's dry, we've got him. And then I look forward to painting him. Like, it's weird, like I said to myself next week, next week, I think I might go back to painting. I'm just going to paint characters, because in a fortnight's time, on the last week of the month, on the weekend, I have Apocalypticon to go to, and that's going to be absolutely massive. That's the one where I'm bringing my 4 Mastodons to.
4
It's
Mastodons,
like, well,
my god.
yeah, I've got the,
this guy.
I know, right? I've booked off like the full week, and I'm just going to go, right, that week I'm just going to concentrate on finishing those Mastodons. The halfway there, I'm just going to finish the last half, like funky, you know, all the fancy freehands and such, airbrushing and all that.
Yeah, well, if it's anything like your Night
yeah.
Lord's vehicles, like your Predators and everything, they'll look awesome.
Oh yeah, and the Land Raiders and such, yeah. Oh yeah, I look forward to it. Like at this one time, it's just going to be a paint job. Eventually, when I get round to it, I'd like to print. I've got like STLs, crucified, mutilated bodies, and all that, and I'd like to like get a ton of them, paint them up, and then just like, well, pin them onto the sides of the Mastodons. Instead of calling them the crypts. Yeah. Yeah, like say it's just like say like I do look forward to the event because it's just going to be a big, massive event. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I feel like I'm starting to come back around to painting again and such, and I've just got myself some more sheets for the palette, so I'm all good to go for the week coming ahead, and I look forward to it. I look forward to a lot of stuff happening actually. But yeah. And then next month I have a 4th edition game booked with Modern Glory, so that's going to be fun as well.
Oh, it should be. Right on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like I say, yeah, like I've had a bit of burnout for the past 2 months over hobbying, because it's just like certain kickbacks don't go to plan. It's just like you need to take a break, otherwise you get too invested and you just get paralyzed and such like that. But I took a bit of a break from it. Now I'm coming back in and feel a lot more refreshed and able to do things. So it's nice to actually just sit down and actually feel like I'm making progress again.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
It's the overtime progression, right, of hobbying. Like it's.
Indeed.
I have one buddy who loves putting a crunch under, like a self-imposed crunch, and I don't know how he can do it, because I do not like to work that way, where it's like, oh, I have an event coming up, now I need to build 2,000 points of this army and paint it for this one event. I'm like, geez, dude, you could have just been chipping away this whole time and be worry-free now, right?
Yeah, I totally get you. Like, I hate putting myself in under any time frames, because I'm just sat there going like, I'll say I'll do it, and then it doesn't happen, and then it's stressed, and then I get myself in an uproar because like I've pushed myself too far in like the wrong areas because I haven't got the thing done in time or anything like that. It's like, it's not worth it. So I always just go, right, I'm going to paint it, and if it's good, it's good. The only time I really like to push myself is like say things like 4 Mastodons. That's because they're so large that you don't feel like paint like 50 bazillion amounts of trim. it feels like something you can work your hands around, kind of thing. So it's pretty good.
Right. But in your
Uh,
example, like I would, in your defense, like in fairness to you, I would say, like you've planned to take time off and do it, so you don't have some sort of
Yeah.
crazy, like, oh, I have to stay up for 12 hours of painting straight. Like, oh my god, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Not a fan
I've
of that. I like a hobby
no, I
to
feel that.
enjoy myself, not to get stressed out. You know,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
that's more where I'm
I
coming
think for
from.
me, yeah, no, absolutely. Like I think like for me, it's just like I stress myself out a little bit, but that's only because I want it. Like the main reason I really like want to stop playing so frequently, say about the first quarter of ninth edition, was because I said I wanted to make battle reports again because that was the whole thing about my channel. But I want to get a painted army done, and from that point forward, that's when my painting pilgrimage, I call it, began. It's rewarding to have to have so many models painted, but it's like at the same time, it's like it stresses me out because I'm like you have to put your time, you have to allocate your time in well, not correct modes, but you have to compartmentalize and make it make a schedule. Because if you progress on one area, you're lacking in the other. Like for example, my big Western, like I'm doing so much for painting and such, but I've got a year's worth of backlog. The year's worth of backlog doesn't stress me out. It's more I want to actually do it now, but I'm still painting Night Lords. uh,
It
yeah,
gets, yeah, I get it. The backlog of painting a whole army, and not even just a 2,000 point list. Like you're talking about like a collection, like a range, right? A
yeah,
range-sized collection.
yeah.
So it is daunting. Like I won't.
No, like I say, once it all comes together, it'll be fantastic. Like it will be like it's all worth it in the end. It's just getting there. I thought I'd be hit there 2 years ago. Yeah, 2026. I'm still painting Night Lords. Oh, where is it?
It's how it goes.
Yes, indeed. What am I looking for? Yes, I know what I'm looking for. I was going to build those Night Lords in Plague Marines now. I'll finish building, I should say. Right, there's the bodies, things. There's the banners. There's the arms that I don't need.
Oh, I think I saw a comment for you. Warp. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me relay it.
yeah.
Message retracted.
Oh, stuck up. Yes, I will be running my Night Lords.
There you go. You got it.
Yes, I will be running my Night Lords. Yes. Like I say, it's because they're my most completed army. Like I've said, like I've started branching off to my other armies in my own in like time away with my partner. So like currently downstairs, like I've said, like every weekend I'll focus on other armies. So I'm focusing on building up my Kriegsmen, Krieg army, and my Black Templars. So I'm looking forward to getting all that sorted. It just takes time, but like I'm actually looking forward to painting my Kriegsmen. It's also the fact that it's just something different. I think I'll enjoy it. And the Templars are Templars, like I just look forward to going on a crusade.
It's a classic chapter. It's also a classy pick. Black Templars and Iron Hands are very, I feel, quintessentially evocative of 40k, much more than Ultramarines. In my opinion, I get the appeal of Ultramarines. I'm not a hater. I am by no means an Ultramarines hater, but I think if we're talking like grimdark representations of the factions, I think it's Black Templars and Iron Hands.
Yeah. I
feel similarly about Creed. Or sorry, about Krieg. Honestly, I think Krieg is a better poster boy than Cadia. Honestly, like it could be an unpopular opinion, but I think that's just when you think of 40k and grimdark sci-fi, I'm like, I think Krieg represents it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I play 40k for the grimdark aspect, so I'm there with you. Preaching to the fire, you know what I mean? That's why I play the armies I do. Like I've got 2 guard armies that I'm building. building Krieg and I'm building Praetorian Guard, where I'm just using the Cadian stuff, where I'm just swapping the heads out for pith helmets. Because I want them both. Like now that I'm at a stage in my life where it's like I can go back to the projects that I've always wanted to start when I was a kid. That's what I'm doing. The Night Lords will always be like my front and center. They'll always be my I'll always live and die as a standing midnight club. But I do. There are like other armies I like. Like I do generally like the Black Templars because like what are Space Marines, but like Gallivant and Knights of York kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Black Templars evoke. Similar to like Krieg, it's like the Imperium is a dystopia. It is not a place you want to live in, and Krieg embody that dogmatic. I don't want to say practice, that dogmaticism of the Imperium, where it is very uncompromising.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy calculus to make. And look, it's not to say Cadia's bad. Look, I like Tau too in the setting, right? I just think if we're talking about best exemplars of the Grim Dark, right? I think it's I think it's Krieg.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Right. This is where things get tricky.
XX1219, welcome to the stream, says, this got randomly recommended on my page. I don't really know much about 40k, but those figures look sweet. Steady hands. Wow, thank you. Yeah, 40k is pretty cool. Well, it's not perfect. My channel is very critical, often very critical of 40k, but there's a lot to like.
Indeed. There's a reason where once you start, you don't stop. It always comes back somehow.
Yep. You know what? I'm tempted to do the pilot lights. Now that they're all out, might as well do the pilot lights on the flammers. Jeez.
Yeah.
Actually, here's a question for you. Now, on my word bearers, which I painted more recently, I did do pilot lights, but I did like green because it's like warp flame. Was the idea? Is there a technically correct pilot light color? Is it supposed to be blue always, or is it always supposed to be red? This is a question for you, Warp, as well as chat, because I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Bit of a salamander's poser, I guess.
Correct light for which? Hang on. So this is a correct light for what sort of part?
Like a flamer, like a pilot light, you know?
Flamer. Yeah.
Like a flamethrower.
Yeah, I've always thought it was blue because, as far as I'm aware, 40k hasn't, unless it's like to do with 1,000 Suns or warp magics. Holy Prometheum is still Prometheum at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't see it being any different. That's so interesting.
Well, yeah, I figure the Prometheum is like... Hey, look, this might be a self-report, so excuse me if I'm wrong. My understanding is the Prometheum is the fuel, which is burned at super high temperatures, inside of the canisters on flamer weapons. But the pilot light is still just a pilot light, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a right answer here. Okay, some upkeep on chat here. XX1219 says, I always fall asleep to the lore videos. Laugh out loud. Well, look, 40k lore can do that to you, 100%. Asbak says, any hopes for 11th Kiefer? Yes, Kiefer is my internet handle that I use with... You can call me at @WhatThe40k or Kiefer, but I use Kiefer when I'm chatting with North and Maka from the Outer Circle. Hopes for 11th. Hopes for 11th. See, I have many hopes for 11th, but the most important ones to me, I'm very doubtful for. Like, I don't know if we're going to get War Gear points back, right? I don't know if we'll get War Gear options in the way they ought to be back. I don't know if we'll get Force Org back. I think we might have a little bit of a step towards Force Org, just because I suspect that GW will pull a lot of pages from Age of Sigmar 4.0, because they have like a pseudo Force Org. I hesitate to even call it Force Org, right? It's just like you can only take so many units based on certain keywords with certain characters. So it doesn't, to me, Age of Sigmar 4.0's Force Org doesn't exactly feel like army building. It feels more like deck building in a way, right? I mean, so I think we'll get something probably similar to that, if we're going to get that at all. I think we're probably going to see some refinements around just the egregious amount of rerolls. For the edition that was not supposed to have any rerolls, it was... not. Sorry, that wasn't a claim. That's misinforming. 10th edition was positioned to have less rerolls, but it turns out we have a ton of rerolls by the end of it. Right? We have detachments that have been added recently that are just like army-wide reroll hit rolls of 1. Just for existing, right? There's no setup you have to do to get that. You just passively have these rerolls in your army. It's kind of crazy. So I think those kind of things will be addressed. Probably things like lethal hits will be addressed. I would love... I don't know how you feel about this, Warp, but I would love for... See, people complain about lethal hits and even +1s to wound, right? Because they make things do damage to targets they shouldn't really be able to, right? You'll have Space Marines wounding Knights and Titanic units on 5s, and like they have no business doing that, like with a bolt gun, mind you, right? And I agree, that is correct. But the design space for +1 to wound is very fun if used correctly, like where you see a Nightmare Hunt, right? Where you're doing a pretty hard ask to get a very nice payoff, right? The problem with +1 to wound is when you just get it doled out for nothing, like with Oaths of Moment. And it doesn't cost you anything to get such a potent buff, right? So I would... Exactly. So I would... Or like a stratagem on 1 unit kind of thing, that's fine too. But I would like to rein in +1s to wounds on the extreme ends, like with the Space Marines wounding Knights on 5s. I would like for the wound chart to be expanded to triples, instead of capping at doubles and half, like how it is now. So that if your weapons triple the toughness, you auto-wound. And if it's less than triple, you auto-fail. Personally, I like that. It would make Space Marine Bolters now with +1 to wound against Titanic on 6s, which is it's a huge difference. It's much more, I think, easier to swallow narratively, right? So that's something I would like. I think Invulnerable Saves, well, my old video from older editions on Invulnerable Saves still holds weight. I think it's terrible. I don't like Invulnerable Saves as a mechanic. Yeah. Barring, like, your commander character, right? To give them those heroic moments of you don't know what's going to happen. But I think Invulnerable Saves get abused. And in some factions where they're standard, like Custodians, it becomes a very uninteractive experience, I find. Where it's just, well, let's see how many 4-ups you roll, right? And that's the game we're playing. It's not particularly fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Invuns definitely need to be more scarce. But I think, like, a lot of the issues that I was having this conversation with my friend after we had a game. I think the main issue 40k has, especially 10th edition, is the same issue it's had in the edition, which was it went too far into the scales of absolutes and lethality. Like, for example, like Space Marine 2 Wounds should feel like, if it was like, say, 5th edition, Space Marine 2 Wounds would be game changing. But now it just feels as though, like, because the damage and curves and lethality is so high, and because it's so hyper consistent from mechanics like you've explained, the game feels they still feel like they're just on one wound. Um, I think, like going back to the previous stream, actually, if there was a lot more uncertainty in the game, if there was a lot more swing in the game, that would help readdress a lot of balance issues. Like I say, like +1 wound is inherently a powerful mechanic to reduce the wound gate of probability from a large percentage just by degrading or upgrading for 1 point, or sorry, by 1 point. Like I think I was saying this to you on previous streams, like when the Nightmare Hunt does and gets that +1 wound off, suddenly like I can start essentially shivering what you call them, Leman Russes to death with 5 melee heavy weapons, because my wound value of wound on 5s has went down to 4s, which is more 50-50, but there's a lot more consistent success rate with that than it is on the 5s to wound. Same thing with knights in that regard and such. The armies that can just get things without having a condition behind them to achieve those to get those abilities or buffs, or the ones where the conditions are very minimal or universal, like say a stratagem, for a certain amount of command points, where there's no real, I wouldn't say positioning, but like when there's no real actual, it's in game in terms of like the physical presence of models on the board, like stratagem and such, when it becomes that economy of just going, right, you've got this, I've got that, but I've got certain things within this economy that can just go, right, spend it and then just do a thing. If your opponent doesn't have the same thing, it does widen the disparity of that game, which isn't a bad thing inherently. The problem is when it becomes too wide, when, as you've said before, when armies are allowed to be so hyper lethal that the only response to that is to make sure you have 3 or 4 different wound gates. Like say the Pantheon of War, how like those Satan shards have their arm save, they get their invulnerable save. I can't remember if Necrodermis does a thing or if it's just reduction in damage. You also get Feel No Pains, layers of layers of layers to match anything that comes across. That's when the game becomes as absolute as that, to the point where you know that you're going to win or you're going to lose by a certain turn, just because the disparity is just that wide of a Grand Canyon. That's why the game tends to falter or feels unengaging or solved, as people have been calling it. It's why I don't particularly enjoy certain, like, it's like I don't particularly enjoy more competitive games, because that's what the meta is built around. It's not built around people having a specific playstyle or specific theme and then playing into those strengths and trying to compromise for its weaknesses. It's about just making sure that what you do is basically a one-turn kill, like say in TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh! And because that removes a lot of agency, to me, that's why I don't particularly enjoy more competitive games of 40k, is because if you're here just to get a win by turn 2, turn 3, that's fine, but that to me speaks that you're playing solitaire. You don't want me to actually engage with you. You just want to put some points on the BCP app and then move on to your next round. You know what I mean? And I feel like that part of that, for me at least, removes part of the social experience, because why did we come to this game if the game is so hyper consistent in a certain player's favor, because that's what their list is. I don't know, like maybe I'm talking absolute crap here, but still, you know what I mean?
No, I don't disagree. I understand what you're saying. I think if we're gonna, in a little bit of like defense to the competitive players, if I'm gonna steel man the
Yeah,
that side of the aisle. I think they want a good game. They want you to bring the heat,
yeah,
right? But it's just not
yeah,
everyone wants to play competitive lists because their army, they want to play their army as it is for various reasons, right? It could be
yeah,
certain units appeal to
yeah,
them, or whatever their lore is. You know, the list goes on.
yeah,
But I think that's the split.
yeah. Like for me, it's like it's not a competitive player. So I'm a competitive player when I feel a game is merits its worth. Like I'll happily be more competitive in other games like Battle of Interest game and Drop Zone Commander because the game has a good, I would say, has good internal and external disparity so that you can play competitively and not feel as though you're basically shunting your opponent out. When I go to a 40k tournament, I would like my idea would be like I'm playing my Night Lords. I want people to feel fear. I was saying this to my friend actually earlier on. It's like if I was to go to an event, I don't want to fight just one detachment. I would like to fight like say, you know, one game would be the Genestealer Cultist Blade Cog and feeling all that like Mechanicus, looted Mechanicus like enhancements and upgrades combined with the Genestealer Cultist way of fighting. And then another game would be against say Alpha Legion Chaos Space Marines, where they are playing to the more stealth-like natures and deceptions and such. And then in another game, I'd like to be fighting, say, Imperial Fists, Space Marine Force, where it is like you're fighting the wall, they are hunkered down, come get me kind of thing. I want to feel like I'm playing 40k, even at a competitive standard. And I feel like there is a too much of I don't want to say detachment, but a break in immersion. What's it called? The sustaining of self belief or something like that. What's it called?
Like it takes you
It's basically like
out of the
yeah, it
narrative of
takes you out.
things. I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Your
it's like
suspension
when
of
it's
disbelief.
that's
Your
exactly what it
suspension
is. A
of belief.
suspension of
Yeah.
disbelief. Yes, exactly. It's like we're here to play 40k. This like we're here to play because we like the game. We're here to play as part of the diegetic universe of 40k. If your army just feels like everyone else's, where it's the same, it's just a different sort of goalpost, then why are we playing this game? But that's just me.
Yes.
Like
No, no.
that's
It is.
it's
It
not
is.
a critique on competitive players. Yeah,
No, like I keep repeating myself, but I don't disagree. It's a. I would like if we're talking about hopes for 11th. I would like a bit more rock paper scissors into the game. I think making everything equally balanced for every army isn't. I think it becomes boring.
yeah,
I think if every army can trade into every other faction equally, it's not particularly interesting, or not as interesting, right? I think competitive players might have a different mindset on it. Um,
yeah,
but I think there's a bit of bias that comes with that kind of stuff. Like it's hard not to be for the thing you're invested in, right? If you're very invested in the competitive scene, you're gonna be like you're going to be more satisfied with what it is because you're invested in it, right? Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah.
I think that's pretty
Like
reasonable.
it's like it's one of the things that's like where it's like I've played in other games of the tournaments. Like I've played Batman Miniatures game tournaments. Absolutely love Batman. Because even at like I've won a tournament at Batman Miniatures game because I play my boy Mr. Freeze. Love my boy.
Awesome
Love,
based character though.
I
Based character.
I love him.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him. But even then, like when I'm playing those games, I don't feel like I'm just playing a tactical exercise. I actually feel like I am like as weird as it sounds, like I am immersed with my main character. Like I've played so much. Like I don't just have Mr. Freeze. I've got like 6 or 7 or 8, maybe just like 10 or 12 gangs. I love that game. But every gang has, or every crew has its own distinct play style. but none of them are more powerful than the other. It's how you play it physically on the table, as opposed to what they have. Um, so, for example, like I look like my big three Gotham rogues are I call them Team Science, the Mad Hatter, Scarecrow, and then Mister Freeze. Um, and like I say, like Scarecrow, I love playing Scarecrow because he's all about like Night Lords playing all breaking into the fear and such. Um, but it doesn't. But that's how he scores victory points. So it's not a case of like what happens on the board or getting scoring objectives like it is in 40k. You have to basically score by basically forcing failed leadership tests, and that's how you score victory points with how he goes.
Oh, that well, I see
Similar
how that
to
game would appeal to you. If you're a Night
yeah,
Lords guy in
exactly,
40k, I
exactly
100%
right.
understand. Yeah, that's
Like
so funny.
I love playing. Yeah, absolutely. Like I love. I know right? It works.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm
But
not.
like
I don't mean anything like ill by it. It's just a
yeah,
funny
yeah, yeah.
coincidence. I just made the connection now.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't know
absolutely.
that's how that game system worked.
Yeah, and it's like I love playing Mister Freeze because it isn't about outright killing. It's about essentially freezing the entire board. You're not there to basically kill other models. You're there to freeze the board, and that's how you generate victory points. And it's like you've got certain like objectives, like you're searching for Nora and all that, because someone who's in Cryo State, she gets around a lot. Um, but you got that, and it's like when you play Batman or the Law, because you can't just have like Jim Gordon the cops. They're all about like basically finding the clues to solve the the case or the murder case kind of thing, or like Riddler's plays his own game of being riddle markers everywhere kind of thing. Joker is about inflicting pain. One of my favorite things about Joker is like he's got certain objectives where it's like he can put on tokens on the board that are like chattering teeth grenades or poison fish. Of the chattering teeth grenades, they've got a countdown. Basically, you roll D3+1, and then at the end of every activation, because it's on activations, after that character, whether it be friend or foe, has activated, you move D6 inches. That like chattering teeth grenade moves D6 inches towards that marker, towards that character. When the countdown goes down to 0, it explodes, it detonates, and says specifically in like objective rules that if it causes any damage, whether it be friend or foe, you score the victory points because it's a Joker joke. And you got things like
That's fun.
you got like wild, yeah, and you got wild things like you've got like, I've got this guy with a fire axe, but he's also got a suicide vest, and if you shoot him, it doesn't matter if you damage him or if you wound him or anything, but if you just hit him, he has to roll dice and roll over 6, he blows himself up because you've basically detonated his suicide vest. Um, Things like that. It's just like every art. Like when I was playing those forums, like one game I was literally playing against um organized crime, so like the Falcones, the Maronis, like the proper like black market gangs, and I was fighting against Black Mask. And he had like King Shark backing them up and all that. Then another one. Then in my second game was against Batman Who Laughs. And his whole shtick is basically turning like your opponent's models into undead Robins. And then the last game I had was against Penguin, and Penguin's really interesting as well. Especially when he's got his mobile duck. But it's just like
Well, it sounds like a
those
well-designed,
areas.
fun game. Like from how you're
It is.
describing it,
It
it
is.
sounds like you have narrative rules where everyone play. And I'm assuming like I'll assume best interpretation balance is there, um, based on your retelling of it, right?
Yeah.
So, but from how it sounds, you have thematic rules, diverse play styles, and viability across various factions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I kind of like that. Like the only like gameplay difference you have on factions in 40k is on the army rules layer, and it's such a small
Yeah.
slice of the available rules to each player, right? I know it affects your whole army, so there is a characterizing quality, right? But there's like it's not the tangibility of like game mechanic, or it's not tangibility. The range of game mechanics is like very thin by comparison to what you're describing with Batman.
Yeah.
However, I will note that Batman, as far as I'm aware, is a much more smaller scale game, skirmish game, right?
It is,
Yeah.
yes,
So
absolutely.
you generally get a bit broader design space on skirmish games. But that being said, I still think 40k
Yes.
could juice up the the range of mechanics that it allows people that it wants to play with. But when everyone has to have this like
Yes.
win condition of scoring the secondary tactical objectives and all this kind of stuff, like you're forced to
Yeah.
play that game.
But
When that's the win condition for everybody, you're forced to play the same game.
yeah, like I'm currently participating in an online crusade, which is First Crusade. But I feel as though, like, at least from at least my perspective of things, I feel as though that the game should move towards, at least from a standing from gameplay perspective, the win conditions or the victory point scoring conditions should be more about, like, say, the agendas. Because I'm experiencing agendas for the first time. It's like, right, this is what this faction does, rather than play to the score and mechanics and such like you've got with current 40k. In agendas, like if you want to make basically if your whole army's idea is just to basically make a giant ritual summoning thing, you can do that. Or if you want to do something else, I feel as though if the game played more to agendas, whether it be for primary or secondary scoring, depends on what you want, or your preference. Whereas if there was that sort of identity to a faction, where it's
I
like,
think you're
okay,
probably right
my
about that.
agenda, yeah, like if like for example, like if Night Lords, if every say like you got sub factions back, Night Lords have every sub faction gets 3 agendas, and you have to pick one or two. Um, there you go. But as long as it's themed towards the art to that sub faction, but there's little variances, so like you don't have, so it doesn't get stale or static. So if you want to play like a more traditional, like say a Raptor Horse, Nemesis Claw, such, you've got an agenda for that. But if you want to play something a little bit more elite, like Accumulator Terminators, there's a one for that. If you want to just play heavy armor, like how I like to do it, or like Dreadnoughts, like War of the Ancients or something like that, there's a way to do that. However, like I say, this is my first crusade, and I'm only into my second game kind of thing, and it's all right. But like I say, like I haven't played it too much. Um, I do feel as though like the concept of agendas needs to be more integrated because I like the idea of it. That's just me.
No, I think
Uh,
look, it does that. Your points do circle back to a discussion I was having with chat before you joined the stream in the first half, and I think
yeah,
I'll pose that question to you as well. But you raise an interesting point, and it does get me to. I think I'm going to explore that route now that you've brought it to my attention in that way, because I think that is probably the way you would want your narrative quests to be, your narrative systems to be per faction, and it should be tied into the victory condition. It should be part of the mission. It should be
yeah,
a secondary. Like it should be treated as your secondary mission, and that is unique to you. And it's a beefy. Like maybe it's half. Maybe it's half, and then if it's worth more to you for some other campaign reason, you pursue that over the main mission. And I think that's interesting. It's a good design space, actually. Now that we're talking about it, but the
yeah,
question I wanted to pose to you, that I was talking to chat with earlier, was around faction campaign systems, specifically around Imperial Guard, because I was having a bit of difficulty work because I have a draft
Imperial
of different campaign systems for different factions in 40k for a system I want to put out on the channel. But
all right,
for
yeah.
Guard, it's a little tricky because I find, and it's not intending to sound rude, I think it's just their nature. I think Imperial Guard is so plain. They're such a plain faction compared to your space elves or your space undead or your space marines or your orcs, right? Where you have so much wild and wacky design space. Like orcs are the upper end of that because they're so zany, right? Because you can do things like looted vehicles. You can do things like when your guy dies, do you put him in a death dread or do you try and put his head on a new body, right? You have like it's crazy. Like orcs are crazy that way. It makes it interesting and fun. But Imperial Guard are so plain, and I think that might be just but I'm starting to feel like that just might be the nature of what they are. And in a narrative system, you kind of should respect that because you should respect the narrative, right? However, I don't want to leave them with nothing. And that's the
Yeah.
challenge. So after that whole spiel, do you have any suggestions or any ideas around Imperial Guard like narrative systems? It's an open-ended question, so I'm
Um,
not like looking for a right answer here.
Obviously, like I would. Okay. I don't see guard as plain. I see guard as modular. So obviously, like as you said, like Space Marines have got really special takes, like say, turn them into dreadnoughts and such.
Right.
But Guard are very much a reflection of the Imperium as a whole because they are just us. They are just like someone who just got conscripted and shipped off for the meat grinder.
Right.
I think they're not like funky like the Inquisition. They're not the Adeptus Mechanicus. There is a lot you can play with Imperial Guard when you can apply that modularity. So
Give me an
where is it?
example. Help me understand you here.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I'm gonna get it actually right here, right now. Please let it be here. Yes, Imperial Guard, 3rd edition. Right, got it. This is where you hear the old phrase, "Kazakid ready for duty." There is special rules in here. Obviously, you got like things like Colonel Schaefer's last chances, because yes, Colonel Schaefer's last chances, never forget them. They've got a rule called regimental doctrines. Regimental doctrines. It took me a little bit because like this was a little bit more of this is their special rule, and this is from previous edition that I've had very minimal experience with. So it took us a little while to get my head around it. But essentially, you get 5 regiment points, and with those points, you can spend on certain skills and regiments and training.
Mm-hmm.
And with those points, you can even purchase, say, specific equipment. Like, for example, the Kevlar Chem Dogs can have chem inhalers. So you spend those 5 points. But it also gives you regiments, and it gives you a list of those traits to the regiments to make them different. So, say you want to play a Valhalla Ice Warriors, they have you can spend you can spend those regiment doctrines to include certain units like priests. You can make them into xenofighters, specifically against orcs. They have close order drill veterans.
That's 3rd edition codex, right?
Yeah, this is the 3rd edition codex. But it's much different to say, like, Valhallans are very much different to say the Mordian Iron Guard, who can use sanctioned cyclers, rattling squads. They're spending their, like, 5 points and say, like, being more regimented with close order drill, sharpshooters, and diehards. Which is much different to say the Death Corps Kree Corps in the book. I know, right? Who can have Rough Rider squadrons. They're also diehards. They share similarities because they are human, but their way of warfare is vastly different. Like I say, like
right.
look at Death Corps Kriegs have Lauged Dog, Chem Dogs.
Okay, hold on. But so
yeah.
No, I think I get the broad strokes, and I will take a look at that reference point because it is kind of interesting. Yeah. But I need to ask the question again, but with a restriction, which I failed to mention the first time. I don't want to give narrative systems in a campaign rules which impact buffs on the tabletop. So like the Space Marine captain dies in one game, and then you roll on your dreadnought table or whatever, your injury table, and then because you're Space Marine, he can go into a dreadnought if he dies, right? That kind of thing. And then in your next game, you have that unit, but I want to avoid the power up snowballing that comes with Crusade, because I've done a couple Crusade campaigns, short runs, right?
Yeah.
But even with the short run of them, they get out of control, dude. It's like, so I'm trying to avoid too many systems that give you advantages from your like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like I don't think bringing a looted vehicle is too egregious in that way, because it is a unit being on the board with the appropriate modifications to its stat line,
Right.
kind of in the line of older editions of 40k. But like, that's the struggle for Imperial Guard, right? Like, I feel like there's not a lot of room for on-death effects like Dreadnoughts or Wraith Lords, Death Dreads, that kind of thing, or respawning in the case of Tyranids and Votann, right? Kind of interesting. So, like, what kind of narrative flair can you give to the Imperial Guard that won't lead to like statistical benefits or upgrades on the tabletop, but can give them kind of a narrative flex in a campaign system? That's kind of the
narrative journey.
It's a very specific question with a lot of restrictions, and it's kind of like tough. I don't know, but it's something I thought I'd pose to you for what it's worth.
I think it's getting in right. Okay, yeah. So,
yeah. So those buffs that you were referencing from that book,
no, absolutely.
Were those were affecting unit selection, or were they like upgrades on the tabletop? If it's unit selection, there might be some design space there to pull from.
Army selection, so it wasn't like specific units. It has basically a key and lock. It's basically like key and lock system where you can unlock certain units, like say Ogrins and Ratlins and such, and heavy weapons. But maybe it's just about the general structure and like military traditions. So might need a little bit of research into like historical research, because Guard players and history is like bread and butter, right?
That might be the way to go.
Certain things like getting promoted from one rank to another, or say like one guy has managed to make a certain narrative condition during a game, so he now is gifted, say from the Lord General or whoever is high above, a personal command vehicle like either a Chimera or a Leman Russ or a Rogue Dawn kind of thing. Or vice versa, if they don't do terribly well, some political opponent who opposes this certain general can have them demoted to be, saying, a conscript or someone who basically watches the conscripts kind of thing. Something like that. And I think like a little bit as well as like, what are they fighting for? For example, the Armageddon Steel Legion fight for their home against Orcs. They are very different to, say, the Harkoni Warhawks, who are more jump troop specialists. I think they would fight more for resources than defending their homeland, like the Armageddon Steel Legion. And then there's certain ones which I think, I know there's people who are making their own editions, and I am no different. I am making on and off a hybridization of my own edition. And one of the things I wanted to do was to play around with the more Imperium at large. So, like, for example, Praetorians, similar to the Ventrilian nobles, where it's like they go for the most glorious parts for glory hunting and such, and they'll pay a pretty coin. Maybe like some Lord Militant General or Governor has friends in high places with royal traders, so they get a few exotic pets like a Bargesh, or maybe somehow there's an enslaved Eldar or something like that. Things like that where they can where it feels like the universe is living and breathing because they are at the thick of it. They're not like Space Marines who are conditioned for a single task and a single role. They complete it and then they just go to the next bit. They are the lungs of the Imperium. They are the Emperor's hammer, but that doesn't mean that they are a blank slate. It means that you can craft them to be very, like I said before, very modular. Like I said before, it's not about just like the general structure. It's about what they're fighting for, who they're fighting it with, who are the enemies both within and without. And I don't mean just like in traitors, but also like traitors and heresy, but also like political figures and such. There's always going to be like two rival generals who are trying to outcompete each other. to basically be the head of the army because of, say, some proud tradition or one was slighted.
Yeah, maybe that's
The
kind of
Imperial Guard,
the route to go, because I
yeah,
think trying to lean in,
they,
trying to treat them like the factions that are so fantastical has not yielded anything for me.
yeah,
So I think your
they are,
approach is probably, you know what? I will explore it. I think it might be the right proper
yeah,
path.
yeah, they are human at the end of the day, and I feel as though like you can incorporate that. There's ambitions for Space Marines and such, but they tend to be quite. But the difference between Space Marine and human is that a human can be quite complex. The Space Marines can be complex, but ultimately they have awareness that they are not human anymore. They have, in their perceptions, they have transcended it. They are the final line. Like my friend was saying before, you're more likely to see a Titan Legion than a Space Marine chapter in lore because Space Marines are meant to be rare. If a Space Marine is at your planet, something's gone horribly wrong. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Imperial Guard are the humanity. They are the ones who they are modular in terms of they're the ones who have to deal with everyone else, whether it be the planet, the inhabitants, say the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Ministratum, or sorry, the Administratum, the Ecclesiarchy, and they still keep going. And and like I say, every general's got their own goals. Some may just be like a proper Captain Abraham against the Tau Empire and just wants nothing more than their destruction, whilst another one may look for the more exotic plant life, or say like the exotic privileges of their command station with like rogue traders or like with the ecclesiarchy. Some of them like the
I get
may
what you're
be
saying.
very devout. Yeah,
A lot of good room for
little
character
things
there,
like that.
honestly. And
Yeah,
I think they'll feel less plain because of it. It solves two problems. Great answer, dude. Great answer, honestly.
no worries at all. Like say like I just like I need a little bit to. Like I say, like I'm just spitballing really, but it's one of those things where it's like the guard or us. What drives us? What would drive us in a setting like 40k, and look at the regiments and how the regiments operate, not like the traditions and such, but like as a military command structure. There's always room somewhere there. Like say, it might be worth also looking at Necromunda, like seeing the different attitudes and personalities there, and then not directly incorporate Necromunda into Guard, but getting an idea of like what a guardsman's aspirations would be, kind of thing, or like someone in higher military huts and such. Because like I say, it happens like there's Gaunt's Ghosts and all that. They explore the Sabbat Crusade. It's just something to just check in and such. But yeah,
Oh, great suggestion.
sorry.
Great
Yeah.
suggestion. I will likely end up leaning into that direction. I like that idea. The idea that the guardsmen have to deal with these political machinations, being tasked to do impossible things over time, right? Only to
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
fight against the tragic outcome that's tasked but before you, right? This kind of, I think that feels quintessentially human. I think there's some
Yeah,
design space there
indeed.
for a campaign
They are the
system.
ones who endure. Yeah, they are the ones who endure because they have to. There is no ifs or buts. They have to deal with everyone else's problems.
Yeah.
So must have had it already out.
How are things on your end over there?
Sorry?
How are things on your end? Are you
Yeah,
looking to wrap up
fine.
shortly?
Up to you. Like I am almost finished 5 Bannermen, but I am missing bits.
Yeah, I'm reaching the end of my hobby rope here. I did manage to finish these aggressors,
Okay,
which is
okay.
a plus. Well, not finish. Oh, yeah, basically. Um, yep. So I'll probably wrap up shortly. I'm just gonna glue this guy's arm on. I think that's it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Where did I put those arms? I must have put them in another place. Yeah, sorry. It's just like what I've got is I've got 3D printed bits of a bolter, like the guy's resting his arm on his bolter that's on the strap. Um, because that's what the upgrade. That's what it is. I can change certain things around with the Plague Marines. So I got like these 5 like banner guys for the Icon of Despair. But I'm trying to find those arms. Oh dear.
Yeah, sifting
Oh,
for
I've got them.
bits it's tough. Sometimes,
Oh,
yeah. You're like, where did I leave that one power sword? Yeah, I get you. Happens with the Thunderhammers.
absolutely.
All right, well, I am ready to wrap this up. We've been going for like an hour and a half, basically. Oh, I have actually crossed the 2 hour mark here, so. Well, I have crossed it a while ago. Time got away from me today. Um,
Yeah.
do you want to do any plugs and such? I already have your channel link in the description. For anyone who's tuned in, can check out
Yeah, cheers,
Warpforged's channel.
appreciate it. Like say, like as people can see here, I am busy making Night Lords. I'll get there eventually, but like I say, hopefully I'll start making video content soon-ish. I'm hoping to do it after Apocalypticon, so in a fortnight's time, basically. If people want to check my channel out, well, I'm just in the link down below in the old comments section and description section. Like I say, hopefully I'll be making more content of this and getting all this painted up, and then you know making videos again. Um, Hopefully sooner rather than later. But yeah, other than that, I'd say just take care, folks.
All right, and with that, we will catch you guys in the next one.